All right, let's dive right into this explainer and explore how product teams are finally evolving past chaotic feedback collection to build a unified engine for growth. If you're in product management, you already know that discovery used to be this discrete, almost linear phase. But as we move through 2025, well, that legacy model is effectively extinct. Today's market absolutely demands continuous synthesis. We're no longer just gathering feedback, we've got to transform it. So our goal today is to walk through exactly how you can transition from fragmented, isolated spreadsheets into a really powerful, unified infrastructure for your product strategy. Now, get this. Harvard Business Review actually found that 75% of new product launches fail to meet business goals specifically because of poor product market fit. That is a staggering majority of launches just missing the mark completely. And you know what the truly tragic part is? This failure is very often directly linked to user insights that the team actually captured but then never effectively applied to the product roadmap. The data was there, but it was essentially invisible when the time came to make those crucial building decisions. So why does this keep happening? Well, Product Board's 2024 Product Excellence Report reveals the exact reason. 68% of product teams openly admit their discovery processes are completely siloed away from execution. Think about that for a second. The research is happening over here, and the building is happening way over there. The result is a massive 30% reduction in feature adoption. Without a central data layer, your organization is basically destined to repeat the exact same mistakes, literally forgetting the why behind features that were built just months or even years prior. To solve this crisis, we are going to walk through this exact roadmap. 1. The discovery graveyard. 2. Pillars of modern discovery. 3. The unified data layer. 4. Capture, connect, act. And finally, 5. Scaling institutional memory. Section 1. The discovery graveyard, where insights go to die. Let's start with a really hard truth about how you probably store customer feedback right now. The biggest challenge in 2025 isn't a lack of user input. Not at all. It's actually an overwhelming surplus of disconnected data points scattered literally everywhere. We're talking across Slack channels, buried deep in CRM tools, and just hidden away in fragmented documents. Relying on static spreadsheets has created what we call a discovery graveyard. When you store research in these isolated files, it loses all of its rich context over time. I mean, you could have the absolute greatest customer interview in the world, but if it's trapped in a random Google Doc from 6 months ago, it's dead. It has zero impact on what you are actually shipping today. Section 2. Pillars of modern discovery, frameworks to the rescue. To finally break away from simple, intuition-based development, successful teams are standardizing around 3 specific frameworks. First up, we have the Opportunity Solution Tree, or OST. Pioneered by Teresa Torres, this incredibly effective method visualizes the exact path from your high-level business outcomes all the way down to your tactical experiments. What this does is force your teams to rigorously validate their assumptions before they commit a single line of code to build. It keeps everyone laser-focused on the actual outcome rather than just falling in love with a shiny new feature idea. Second is the Jobs to be Done framework. Now, this requires a total mental shift. You have to move away from surface-level feature requests and instead focus entirely on understanding the underlying intent of your user. By asking yourself what a user is actually hiring your product to do, you stop building random add-ons. Instead, you start building solutions that drive genuine, lasting retention, because you're solving the core problem, not just putting a Band-Aid on a symptom. Finally, we have validated learning. Rooted deeply in the lean startup methodology, this pillar is all about the continuous build, measure, learn loop. It prioritizes rapid micro-experiments over massive multi-month launches, which, frankly, significantly reduces the costly risk of failure. You test, you learn, you iterate. But here's the absolute crucial point. While these frameworks are fantastic, they literally cannot function properly without a unified infrastructure supporting them. Section 3. The Unified Data Layer, Connecting the Dots. SVPG's Marty Kagan perfectly captures the core philosophy of modern product management here. He says, discovery isn't about collecting data, it's about reducing risk. We really have to stop thinking of ourselves as data hoarders and start viewing ourselves as risk managers. And what exactly are those risks? Well, there are 4 major ones: value, usability, feasibility, and business viability. You have to prove people want it, prove they can actually figure out how to use it, prove your engineers can realistically build it, and prove it makes financial sense for your company. You can only mitigate these 4 massive risks when your data is totally accessible and interconnected, rather than locked away in those isolated files we talked about earlier. So, we are making a crucial shift here. We're moving from being isolated researchers managing static spreadsheets to dynamic problem solvers utilizing a searchable knowledge graph. Modern infrastructure has to act as this knowledge graph, where user sentiment is directly linked to specific pain points, which are then tied directly to experiment results. Imagine being able to pull up a specific customer constraint from 18 months ago with just a single, simple search. That is the true power of a unified data layer. Section 4. Capture, Connect, Act. Operationalizing discovery. So, how do we actually implement this whole new unified infrastructure in our day-to-day operations? Well, to escape the fragmentation cycle, modern teams are adopting a simple but super powerful three-step workflow. By the way, tools like Specky are specifically designed to operationalize this. Step 1 is capture, automatically ingesting raw qualitative data from all customer touchpoints into one central repository. Step 2 is connect, using AI to map that scattered feedback directly to specific business outcomes and your opportunity tree branches. It creates this living, breathing relationship between the customer's voice and your technical requirements. And finally, step 3 is act, allowing you to execute against a roadmap that is informed by real-time evidence. This ensures every single sprint is validated by both historical and current user insights. No more guessing. Section 5. Scaling institutional memory, the ultimate advantage. All right, we've reached the payoff stage. Let's look at the long-term impact of adopting this system. The single most significant competitive advantage in 2025 is the ability to maintain your institutional memory. When your research is siloed, team churn completely erases years of hard-won knowledge. People leave, and their insights just walk out the door with them. But by treating discovery as infrastructure, you create a permanent brain for your product org. You stop the incredibly wasteful cycle of relearning the exact same constraints over and over again. Instead, you're building a high-velocity culture where new product managers can hit the ground running, fully supported by a rich, searchable, and structured history of user feedback. Transitioning to a modern discovery infrastructure is simply no longer optional. It is the absolute prerequisite for scaling. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Ask yourself, when your next PM joins your team, will they inherit a strategic, automated engine ready to drive growth, or are you just going to hand them the keys to another discovery graveyard? The choice you make today absolutely determines the products you will successfully ship tomorrow.